which one's got the, it's going live. Hey, are we live?
Okay.
I don't know.
So
Are we
Are we live? I think we're live. We're live. Live in Minneapolis. Well, actually, wait, St. Paul.
We're all in St. Paul.
We're on St. Paul at the Moxie Hair Salon. My name is Steven. Oh, you're on my Instagram. It should be Steven. So we're going to do...
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. We're going to do our little educational video. We have a wonderful model here today. Kat.
Hello.
And Tim, our trusty guy, is going to help us out. Everyone else is not running in the salon. I think we only have one person in the guest in the salon right now. So let's take a look and see. Here we go, Tim. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do. So, you're growing your hair out.
Mm-hmm. Trying to.
Trying to. Have you had it cut at all since I cut it last time, which was about a year ago?
Just by myself.
Just by yourself?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Seriously?
Really sketchy.
You've had a sketchy hairdresser. All right, so I think looking at this, I think what we'll probably want to do is I think we're going to bring it in probably right about here. I like some of the asymmetry that we already have, so I want to bring it so a little bit in here. Working in the neckline, I really want to take this down a lot tighter. Really work with some of the graduation so you can grow this out, building up that weight. So we're going to really take a fair amount out. Tidy this in. And this, because you have like undercut a little
Yeah,
bit.
there's some undercut.
There's
here
still a
still.
little undercut in here. Because I was going to say, last time we did this, there was undercutting and
Well, and
hard
some,
lines.
like little micro bangs in
Well,
there.
yeah, exactly. It's like not really micro bangs anymore. So, but we can give you more micro bangs. What are you going to do with the color? What's your plan?
I don't know. I mean, I've always been blonde.
Yeah, you're a little green right now.
A little green. This is my last ditch attempt to not getting a full foil.
Okay. Should we
So-
pop in some foils next time?
Yeah.
I think that would be good. We could actually have you come in and we can do a class live where we just
Alright.
actually do color too.
Cool.
That could be kind of a fun thing. So not only just cutting, we can also do color. We could actually we could even paint it in. We can do all kinds of things.
Cool.
Color-wise, do you want to just keep towards blonde?
Sure.
Or do you want to like stay with some cool, fancy color?
No.
You're done with the fancy.
Yeah, that was just like,
Your phase is over.
yeah.
No more pinks and reds.
I mean, maybe,
You know.
Maybe down the line.
Okay. Subtle. Okay, I have a couple ideas. You got a plan then. So we're going to hug this in with a little bit of wrong graduation. Keep this like nice and clean, a little more solid. It's going to be really classic font. So you can grow up. All right, guys, we're going to get it all prepped and ready. 10:30, we'll be doing our live class. And see you guys soon.
Sweet.
Yeah. We're live now. We're live now. Right now.
Oh, jeez.
All right, we're combing through some hair. Salon's starting to fill in. It's happening. We decided that it was okay to be blurry in nature, but nowhere else. All right.
Except for sitting in Steven's chair.
Except, yes, when you're sitting in Steven's chair. Then it's all okay. All right. So again, we're going to recap just a little bit. Growing your hair out. We want to get it so it's more clean line, so it's a much more solid bob shape. Really get this to hug in with some tight graduation. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Start to clean it up so you can start to grow it out. How long do you want to grow your hair out to?
As long as I can get it
Really? Like,
before chopping it off.
okay, so you're just going.
Just trying to. This is as long as my hair's been in probably 8 years.
Oh, seriously? I was going to say, I've only known you for what, 3?
Yeah, and it's
So,
been
and
short.
it's always been, this is the longest I've seen it
Yeah.
for 3 years, so. All right, well, let us get ready.
We'll see how patient I can be.
I think we're it's gonna be great. So today, it's going to be all classic scissor work, which which will be super fun to play with. When I like to work with people's hair, the first thing that I want to take a look at is I'll really kind of see where the hair grows. So you can really take a look at her growth patterns and see like all of her hair through here really wants to move over this direction. It's really moving over here. Really likes to just have her, I like to see where it goes because that'll help me understand how to get the top part to lay. So working with this, I'm going to go through using this kind of as a guide, since I know where all that hair is going to fall. I'm going to take this and section it out and around the parietal ridge. And since we are going to go for a little heavier bob, I'm going to go a little bit more on the lower side of the parietal ridge. So that way it can be like nice and clean all the way through. And kind of like we can really work on our graduation lower, keeping the heaviness on the top, because that's one of the key things in growing hair out is we want to keep as much of that weight up towards the top as possible. We'll do the same on the opposite side. Follow that parietal ridge all the way through. And you'll notice that both times when I started my sectioning through the top, started in the back working towards the front. What's nice about doing this is it gives me the ability to work with the curve of her head so I can really see how the hair is going to fall. And I also know the direction and movement of it. I've got a clip here. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. Helping.
Up and out of the way. Now the next thing I'm going to look at is like, okay, where's her occipital bone? So she's got her occipital bone. Really feel it right here. And then it's like highest point is here. So we got to decide, do we want to be on the low side of it or the higher side of it? I'm going to divide by the half here. And then kind of start to think about, okay, how do I want this to fall? Where do I want it to move? And then also, what is happening with all of her hair in the nape? What's going on with that? So as I look, I'm going to go just above her occipital. I'm going to go to the high point of the occipital. So I'm looking at the flatness of her head here. I'm looking at the shape here. So it tells me that right in here is going to be good. It's a good balance point. I'm going to start with that balance point. Take a subsection to right to the mastoid process, which is the bone right behind the ear. Right in here, right where the hair starts to fall down, right at that division point. Let me get this stuff up and out of the way. And this is just how I work in the salon every day. And yes, I do take all these little sections. It's not just for class. Because it really does help me kind of like understand her head shape, her bone structure, but it also gives me the ability to control each segment by segment. And I think it's really important to be able to like control it. I don't have to section it all out, but it really gives me a visualization of like what I'm working with. And now we can start to see how she's cut her own hair. Little straggles, hanging out, just doing their thing. That's all right, not a big deal. All right, so now I've got to decide, do I want to build weight in the middle or do I want to build more weight on the sides? And this is kind of like where we want to think about. If I work diagonally across, it's going to push more weight to the middle. If I work in a center pivot, working this way, it'll push more weight to the edges. So like looking at her head shape, you can see how her head comes in, or her neck shape. Hair's a little weaker right here. It's a lot stronger in the middle, which tells me that I should work in a pivot moving this direction. So I'm going to be working in pivots, pushing the weight to right behind her ear. Because if I work in diagonal like I would love to, it would just get really heavy here, and she's always going to end up with the duck butt. And that's not cool. Right? She's like, no, I don't want a duck butt. Clear the duck butt. All right. So I'm going to use my shears. Today I'm going to be playing with Mike Card shears. I'm using my Arrojo cutting comb because it's one of my favorites. And I'm going to really start in just with my graduation first. I'm not going to cut the bottom line until the end. And then my water bottle. Want to grab me a little water?
I do. Ooh, water.
Really, it's so I can control what I'm doing. So I really want this to be really clean lined so we can really see what we're doing. Now we can see that power. Doesn't bother me, so let's pull this little clip and get it out of the way. We want to shoot on this side because this is where sometimes graduation and layers get confused. Now we're working into graduation. Remember, look at that straight up. And what is graduation? Graduation, this would be layering the hair. You can see that it's a shorter to longer. But what we want to be able to do is we're going to work in graduation. So we're going to try to keep the length, so we're basically going to cut that line shorter to longer. So it's actually building and pushing that weight up. It's actually causing the hair to like stack on top of each other and fight gravity. So to do that, I'm going to start on the side. I'm going to pull the hair straight out. Shift my fingers to that angle. Paying attention to here and here. And I'm going to start to bring this in. Get this in nice and tough. So we can start to see that we're creating that angle. Now I want to take a look at it and I stand back and look and see if this line is following the angle that I want on the side. I want to go a little bit tighter. So let's do it a little bit more. I'm going to go in. Tight. We have everything. Now we can start to see that line and shape. Now if I look at this and I stand back and I look at my angle right here, I'm like, okay, I think that's going to be a good angle. I'm really kind of laying out where I want to go. Now I'm going to tilt her head down just a little bit. So I like to start off not tilting the head down, so that way I can get my angle in. Now I can start to work, come on over here, so you can see, I'm going to work at slight diagonals. Flip out of the way. Just comb the hair into our previously cut piece. Shifting our fingers. Cutting in that same angle all the way through. Next piece. Take small enough segments that we can control. I gather the hair with the wider teeth of the comb. Then I switch to the finer teeth. Now, by nature, I want to grab all of this hair. That's too much hair for me to control. Even though I have pretty large fingers, it's like I can't control all that. I've got to control just what I can, which is really between those knuckles right in here. When I tap this, this is what I can control. Anything beyond that is too much. And again, we're not cutting the bottom perimeter really until the very end. You can see I'm just shifting in little pivots. Scooping up the hair with the large teeth of the comb. Really just making sure that I'm elevating at top. With almost no elevation towards the bottom. Now, this line we will clean up, but we're going to clean that up at the end. We don't want to do it right now. Right now, we're just working on getting the graduation built in. If anybody has any questions, make sure you holler them out, say hi. Tim will respond and say hi and talk to us.
I will.
Shout them out to us. Right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. You got anyone on?
We've had a lot of people come through.
Nice. Anyone saying hi? Nope. Oh, man. Just no love here this morning. That's all right. I'll get over it. I'm pretty good with that. You're going to go on and say hi? You're getting your hair done. I don't think you need to do that. So the nice thing is you can start to see with this graduation how it's building up the weight. And if you come over on this side, you'll see how it's pushing the weight into this corner versus building up in the back. And that's the whole point of working in that pivot. Last segment on this one. This one we're basically pulling straight out. Still working palm to palm. And you can start to see that line already falling into play all the way through. And the nice thing is it's already starting to build our angle that we want to kind of work into. So let's jump onto our other side. Start with our head tilted down again.
And you're combing towards
My guide again.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of always want to comb towards. Now it's a little more difficult this side for me because I'm right-handed and I've got my shear right in nice and tight and I got to cut more from the bottom up. Because of that, what I'm going to end up doing, you'll notice this, is I'll still cut from the top, working my way down. So I'll bring my guide in. There's my guide underneath. Popping that in. Take my next piece. Really working that through so that I can still build that same angle. And this is the harder side for me. So if I have to, I need to move her head just a little tiny bit. You can really start to see that line. Really giving that control. So you're really pushing in that shape. And it seems like, oh yeah, you know, this is like so much more work than just by taking all these little subsections. Actually, it speeds up the work because the cross-checking time is way less, and the going back and fix it time is way less because you could create that shape that you really want. Uh-oh, we got something going on.
Oh, phone calls. Oh.
Well, the nice thing is because I've got my little earbuds in, they probably can't hear them. I was just thinking about that. They probably can't even hear us jibber-jabbering. But that's all right. Nice. Nothing better than jamming out a little bit in the morning. All the way through. Now we can like move the hair back and forth, see how it's laying. You can really see our graduation starting to build. go in and start to work on our bottom line if we want, or we can wait till it dries a little bit more. I'm going to wait just a little bit on this. So we're going to continue on our shape. So working with our shape, next thing I'm going to do is work in taking this segment. You can see how it curves right here. I'm going to take this and I'm putting an angle that we want. So I want our angle to fall right to the top of the ear here. Same on the other side. Finding that same angle right to the top of the ear, because this is going to give us that, start to give us that shape that we put in. But also now we can continue our graduation. So working this through, I'm going to start in the middle. And I can now have the ability to work, if I wish to work, on the top of my hands, or I can continue working palm to palm. I like palm to palm, just gives me a little more control. You can start to see my graduation line. And I'm going to work in slight diagonals, pretty much straight. And all I'm going to do is just comb everything straight back. See my line? Diagonal. Comb everything straight back. You can really see how I'm shifting with the comb. So each time I comb, I put right at the base, bring my fingers out, shift right into my previously cut piece. Slight diagonal. Straight back. There's my guide. And it's just a lot of repeat, but it's really paying attention to all the little details when you're working on this. So I'm working with the curvature of the heads. So I'm not taking straight vertical, pulling everything straight back, kind of as if it's a square, and bringing it right into my graduation line. Really start to see that build up. Again, taking the sections with the wide teeth of the comb, and then using the fine teeth of the comb to really give me the control that I need. Really etching this in. Straight back. I'm really kind of over directing now. You can see it's almost like I'm pulling it straight into like a shoebox, pulling everything straight back, but it's a slight elevation out.
Hi, Mike.
Who is this?
Mike Karg from Switzerland.
Mike Todd from Switzerland is on.
What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike? We're using your shears.
Hey, hey.
Hard shears. Doing a little work here. Here we go. You can really start to see that line as it falls in. Let's go to the other side. And when we work on the other side, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing. So I love working with all of my friends. So I'm using my Arrojo cutting comb from Nick Arrojo. And I'm also using my Karg shears from my buddy Mike Karg, who's online. His shears, the K-Reg. These are my faves. They're really incredible shear to get everybody started with. I think it's a great shear to play with. It's just the right size for doing graduation work like this. Really getting this to hug in. So each time, just a little bit of a slight diagonal. It's never exactly the same because it's going to be based on just how the head shape moves. Again, still working at the top, finding my guide, combing everything straight back, right into that previous, all the way down. You want to really make this really nice and controlled. again, the cleaner we can make this haircut, the better it's going to grow out. Because, Kat, what did you say? You wanted to make sure your hair grows? You're going for length, trying to. So she's trying to grow it. So we're going to give her a really solid foundation so that she can grow it. Right now, we just want to remove a little bit of this heavy dead weight in the back. We're going to keep all of our length to the sides and start to even out that weight and that balance. Really kind of etching this in. And you can see the support that we put in underneath that first segment really is building up that weight. So it's making it stronger right behind her ear, just like that was the intention, which is why we did that in the beginning. I think the most important part with hair cutting is to build a plan and then to stay with it. So many times hairdressers, especially myself in the beginning when I started my career, is I'd have a plan and I didn't always know exactly how to get to it. So I just keep working towards it, but I was really actually messing it all up. So it's important to be able to really build that plan, understand it. And the fundamentals and going through academy classes is one of the best ways to be able to do that. Constantly work on just making sure that what you're doing is perfect. You really start to see that shape. It's really starting to do what we want it to do. Losing stuff. Play that wasn't too loud. All right, losing my ear plug. Okay, guess what time it is? It's coffee time.
Oh, I drank all my coffee.
Cheers. Sometimes you gotta take a break. I have a lot of work. So now let's get into the next part of it. All right. Here we go. Now into we're going to shift our body position a little bit. Even out this moisture level in our hair. So now we're going to actually start working horizontally. So we're going to work in that angle. And the reason for this is now we want to start to build weight. If I kept working in a vertical section, it's going to remove more weight. Now we want to build the weight that we've built the weight up in the back to where we want it, but you can already see the line going right to where we want it. So now what we're going to do is work horizontally and just strengthen that all up. We're working with a large segment. Now I'm going to work in a round shape. So far I've worked in triangular shape, a square shape. Now I'm putting round on top of it. This is going to give us a little more ability. So I'm going to keep my fingers so that when I'm cutting, is that still at that same angle. My scissor is going to shift to that same angle. See my guide. And each time I'm going to move and lower my elevation. I'm really paying attention to my elevation and lowering that, creating this angle, and bringing this all the way down. So there's almost no elevation when I get to the front. It starts with higher elevation, goes to lower elevation, so you can really start to see that line. Here we go. Next segment. All the way through. Sure, it's clean. Cleaner it is, the quicker it goes. Comb everything straight down into how it naturally lives. Now I could work side to side, but at this point I'd really prefer to just work one whole side, then go to the other. But you can go back and forth if you want. There's no right or wrong. Still paying attention to my guide, paying attention to my elevation, lightly over direction back, keeping it soft over here, and bringing this on in. It's going to start pushing that weight towards the front and giving it a nice clean line. Here we go. Elevating a little bit higher. Now, when I elevate a little higher, my finger angle is going to shift instead of being such heavy graduation. I want to soften it because we're now working on the the head shape is starting to curve. So I want to soften it just a little. So now I'm ever so slightly almost flat layering. But as soon as I get to here, back into my graduation. Everything down. Graduation. Look at those crispy, crispy ends. Bring it all over. Really start to see that shape falling into play. All right, let's go to the other side. See, it's starting to go faster. The hardest part is already done. So now we want to kind of just like work into this. So this is a combination, but not one technique on here. Doing multiple techniques. Again, we're going to work in the same diagonal. Up and out of the way. And now remember, this side's a little bit longer. Everything down. Again, same thing, a little higher elevation, kind of watching the shape of the head. The fingers are in that graduation line and angle. I'm going to start through the top. And the key thing is, you can see I'm missing this piece. I'm not cutting that because I can't control it. I can really only control right here. Can't control here and I can't control here. So now I can jump into my next piece. And notice the control that I'm always starting right here. Only going to cut the inside. All the way through. Really paying attention to what I'm doing in my angles. Slightly directing back. There we go. Looking cool? Are you feeling happy?
I will when I can see.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean so hair cutting and blurriness is not a good thing.
I don't know.
Oh,
100% trust me.
thank you. That's where you went wrong. No. So again, let's keep moving through. It's again, we're creating a round shape, so that means every time I cut, I move my feet. And each time I move through, I take a little more, lower my elevation each time. All the way on through. Really start to see that line. So you want to look at, looking at that line. Sure, wait. It's good to just move it around and be like, oh, am I on track? Yep, looks like we're on track. Last segment. We'll bring it on down. Now again, we're now at that point where the head starts to round, so my finger position won't be in graduation. I'm going to shift it just a little bit so it's a little squarer and a little more flat. This just gives us a little more ability to work with the head shape in through the back. Bringing this on down. And let's get rid of some of those crispy, crunchy ends. There they are. Yeah, we should probably color your hair. Are you free next Tuesday?
Maybe.
Maybe? You're like, maybe.
Kind of day by day
Really?
lifestyle.
Are you still working overnight?
Yeah.
That's a rough.
It's alright.
That's all right. You're saving the world.
Somebody's got to do it.
I know, you're saving the world one person at a time.
I would go
Alright, so now we can bring everything from the top down. And as we do this, I'm really kind of moving everything into how it's going to fall and just kind of see what's going on. So we can start to see all the different lengths. 'Cause this is all the hair that was like at one point cut as an overhang over her undercut. And I'm going to switch at this point to a different tool. I'm going to switch to my Arrojo razor.
Ooh.
Because now we want to create a little more softness. So at this point, you can just see what needs to come off. So what we're going to do is we're going to still work with the razor and still work in sections, but I'm going to work a little bit vertical. I'm going to still use the cutting comb, but I'm going to just layer that edge into what we've already done. So it creates a little softness. So we're like structured, soft. We're working with the pivots. Find my previously cut piece. We're really just going to soften this edge up. Using a little bit of an open stroke to give it that movement. I'm kind of like just letting the hair dictate and tell me what it wants to do. Just etching this through just ever so slightly. Because I don't want it to be a classic heavy structured bob. I just want it to be structured so that it will grow out nice and then have softness so it can move. Because if it's moving on top, it's going to have a little bit more ability to grow out. Etch this on through. You can really kind of see how that just hugs in if you look at this. There we go. There's our guide. Get the movement action going. Etching this through. Softening up that edge just a little tiny bit. Here we go. So when working with the razor, a couple of key things that you want to think about. Make sure your blade is sharp. Make sure that you get a little movement and edge. Again, you can see how fine a section I'm taking. Not doing a large subsection, it's just really fine. So just kind of like letting the weight of the razor do all the work. So it gives it a little bit more softness. Just through the top. And I like to work a lot of times with both tools. I don't think you should just do one tool for everything. I think you need to have a little bit of variety. So you can see my guide underneath. And I'm over directing the hair back a little bit because I'm trying to build weight still through the front. Really want to build to create that nice shape, a really strong bob. Slightly over direction. You can see my elevation now at the rounds of the head. Etching this through. As I move, I lower my elevation. Lower my elevation. And I close the stroke of the blade so it's like tighter as we go. Last piece. The difference between using a razor and a scissor is you still have to like have the control and discipline of the scissor, but you have to like feel what you're doing versus just visually seeing. It's a little combination of both, the visual and the sight. So you can really start to see that line falling into play. And I think it's good to be able to do both, and I really think that everyone should be able to like master both tools, but you have to master the scissor first. sketching this in. While I'm doing this, what I'm really thinking about beyond just shape and movement and texture and everything else, what I'm also starting to think about is product. So we should probably chat about like what kind of, like, how do you style your hair? What do you do? I know I'm putting you on the spot. It's like a tough one. What do you?
Let's see. It's not tough because there's not much.
So you're very low maintenance.
I'm very low maintenance.
You want to just like, do you blow dry or style your hair?
No.
Not at all. Not even just like when you're going out, you're going to go
Yes.
hit the town?
Sure.
Okay. Because you probably hit the town once in a while.
Yeah.
These things don't stay in my ear.
You need a rubber band.
I need a headband that goes around my ears. Where's my buff when I need one?
So yeah, just like a little like protectant.
So something that's going to be heat protectant. You don't like sticky. You're not like,
Not particularly
Okay.
sticky. I like to be able to comb my hands and my hair.
okay. So it's important to be able to figure that part out when you're working with any kind of retail. You know, the whole purpose of like, why do we even have retail products? The biggest reason we have retail products is to solve whatever challenges our clients are having with their hair, and we want to be able to like offer them opportunities to purchase. I'm gonna grab a little water here. So what we need to be able to do is come up with what we need for Pat and her hair. So she needs a little heat protectant. She needs something that's going to strengthen her hair. So I'm actually going to use a little combination of two different products. So we're going to use a little bit of protective thickening lotion, which will kind of protect her hair, but it also give it a little bit of thickness to it. It's not really sticky. It's going to just give a really soft, lotiony feel. And then we're going to use another heat protectant on it. So it's going to get a double whammy of heat protectant. We're going to use the Shine Lux oil. And the Shine Lux oil is going to add that moisture that's needed. But it's also going to give us the strength, putting some of that proteins back into the hair that's needed. And it also builds a little bit of a heat protectant and UV protectant on it. Both these are made by Mr. Nick Arrojo, the Arrojo product line. Super awesome. So we'll play with those. They'll be really good for her hair. And neither of them are going to be sticky, but at the same time, they'll give her some flexibility with styling. So again, more open stroke. When I am working higher in elevation, and as I get lower in elevation, I'm working with much more of a closed in the last segment, pull everything straight out, a little more open again, and as we come down, close that elevation and just really tighten in that line. Let's take a look. You can really start to see that shape. And again, we haven't cut any of the bottom line, except as we were moving. That looks awesome. You can't see. It's almost better because it's like boom, boom, boom. What's it gonna look like? What? You never know. All right, so now let's work on the bottom line a little. Now that the hair's dried a little, I can see what it's gonna do, and it's gonna tell me what kind of shape I want to put in. start to see that movement. Now we'll go into the other side. This side's a little trickier for me because, again, right-handed versus left-handed is sometimes a little bit challenging. We all have our good sides and our bad side. I guess in every aspect of our life. But yes, cutting hair. There we go. Turn this in. Really start to see that line fall into play. Switch to the other side. Straight down. Really etching in that line. All right. All right. Let's gonna grab a little bit of product. We're gonna do a little blow dry so we can start to see. What do you think? We gotta go crazy. Hey Nikki, you were asking how long are the blades? That is a 5.5 inch blade. The actual length of the blade is probably like 3 inches. Hopefully that answers that question. So I like to get everything moving around. Here we go. Let's get into some product. So I'm going to go through and put a little bit of the protective thickening lotion in. This is by Erosia. It's a great product for adding in a little bit of shine, protection. You need a fair amount. You don't need to go crazy.
Smells good.
It smells great. That's always a good thing. Tips for using product. When you're using it, explain what it is, how it works, hand it to your guests. Because guess what? What are they going to do? They're going to look at it, they're going to read it, they're going to smell it. Take a little bit of the Shine Lux oil, just about 2.5 pumps. Not a lot. Try that. This stuff is awesome. Love the way it smells. Just kind of work this through the ends, especially where she needs it, which is right here. So I really want to concentrate that on the hair, part of the hair that's a little more weathered.
How much did you use?
Like 2.5, yeah, 2.5 drops. Like very low. It's really concentrated, so you don't need a lot. I'm working this all the way on through. Alright, let's do a little blow dry. Use my little Rojo paddle brush, because we're just gonna really, we don't style your hair. That means we gotta keep it simple. So we're actually not gonna style our hair too much. I'm just gonna pop this in, blow drying at the scalp, drying everything underneath. I wanna see what it's gonna do naturally. I use the brush just to like, yeah, flat lap at the base. Just to make sure that there's no fuzzies. I think it's important when you are styling or working with your clients, find out how they're going to wear their hair, find out what they're going to do with it, how they're going to like style it, what their lifestyle is, because then it helps you because you can resolve their issues the way that they're going to deal with it. Using a little paddle brush just to smooth it out a little, give it a little bevel. So once you get the base dry, then you can go in and start to polish it out a little. Just kind of smooth, polish, and bevel. And the cool thing is while I'm doing this, I'm cross-checking. I'm like looking at what I've already cut. I'm looking to see if there's like weight in certain areas that need to come out. I'm looking to see if there's like any long, weird pieces missed. So far I haven't seen any. Looks pretty clean. I'm looking at what the ends are doing. Looking at the weight.
Excuse me.
So again, drying that base first is always the key. You want to get that base dry. Get all the moisture off the shelf. Getting all that moisture is going to give us the ability to like move the hair around, and it's also going to make the hair last longer. Like when you're doing a good blob, you're not going with this long curly hair. And you want a really nice blow out. The less product you can use, and the more you can dry that base first before anything, the longer that blowout's going to last. And the clients really want to have that. They want the longevity. I'm drying on low to mid heat. I'm not going high blast. No need lots and lots of heat. Just need to like get it so it starts to dry out and smooth out those ends. And you're dealing with a little bit of finer texture. You don't need to like fill it with so much heat. You just want to like fill it with more tightness. Give it a little love. I'm going to start to see that polish. Checking out my lines, cross-checking as I go, making sure I have that shape. You can see those ends like to they dry so quickly, and I haven't even put any heat on those. That's why we want to make sure that that's where we concentrate most of that oil. But it'd definitely be nice to add a little bit of color to your hair. Shine it up a little. I actually don't mind this like little tip of green, but I think we can make it a little prettier. I really recommend, yeah, we should definitely do that. Picker game. I know you get your like sold on your color person.
Oh.
Oh, see how
Clearly I haven't seen her in a while.
it's been a while. Really start to see how it all falls in. After it's all blown out, what I'm going to do, Tim, can you run and grab some glint? And I'm going to take a look at this, just kind of etch it around. Making sure that, see how everything's laying. So I can see there's a little bit of weight. So we want to we're going to break that weight up a little tiny bit. And then we're going to clean it up just a little ever so slightly. That's the importance of it. All right, here you can, or you can flip it around towards you so you can see too. Oh, look! Oh, there you go.
Ooh, there we go.
There we are. Mm-hmm. Now we're full. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just break up those edges, use the shears, and as I go in, going to pick up this hair. There's a little weight in there, so I just want to etch that weight out. And we'll just etch that weight out. Just right in there. Just to soften that edge. Yeah, you can flip that phone around again. So that way it just becomes seamless. Now I'm working in the same kind of diagonal sections that I worked in prior, That way I can just like elevate, even out the density. Right there it is. You can kind of see it. Just so that it flows in really gently. You can see the density of it. And that's the whole purpose of like point cutting, is to lighten up that density so that we can keep the shape, but just get it so that it just collapses in on itself. And it just softens and rounds that piece out just a little bit. Do the same on the opposite side. Again, you can see it's just that transition from the razor to the scissor work. So I just want to soften that up just a little tiny bit to get rid of that hard weight. So it makes it a little bit softer. The softer her hair is, the longer she's going to be able to go before her haircut so she can grow it out. Now, if I wanted her to come back in 4 weeks, I'd keep it a harder line so it's a little bit stronger. Well, it's not that I don't want you to come back in 4 weeks, but you're growing your hair out. I don't need to see you in 4 weeks. I need you to be like, I need some more hair so you can grow it out. So that way we can soften that up. And if you look through the back, you can start to see how that's even more soft than it was before. Add a little harshness to it. Not much. But it's just that transition between the razor and the scissor. Now etch that in. There it is. All right, I'm gonna have you shake your head really hard, rock it out. Just there you go. You do that so well. Do you go to heavy metal concerts?
Once in a while.
So now we can go in. Just clean this up. See that little bit of weight? Weight. And this is where visually you become an artist, because you can start to see just the small amounts of weight based on hair growth. But you won't want to do this until the hair is dry and you already have the shape put into it. Seal this all up. You want to grab me a little bit of the glint? Nope.
Wasn't any over there. I looked real good.
I'll find some.
Good luck.
You got it.
2 seconds and guess what I found?
I don't believe it.
What is it?
The glint.
You just gotta know where to look.
Well,
Uh-oh. Guess what your homework is today? Glint is a really awesome texture spray. After everything's put in, we'll just like add a little bit of texture and shine. It's great for like finishing and for editorial work. Just kind of like polish it off. Really start to see the definition. It smells good too. Nothing better than products that smell good. There you are. See that? We created a nice, awesome. It is. We're going. That's what we're going for. Sleek and controlled, but still a little bit of softness and texture. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining our live class. Thank you, Kat, for being our model.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, we'll see you all next Tuesday. Cheers.